Hello, everybody. Welcome to Free Discourse Radio. This is Frank Davey. We're gonna delve into the alternative media world and talk about a discussion that happened yesterday with Sam Seder and Tim Black. Two people on the left, I believe. Tim Black, he's more progressive. I'm not sure what Sam Seder describes himself as, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty liberal and part of the alternative. The left side of the alternative media here. So, yeah, we're going to discuss this just before we get started here. It's possible I may not go through the whole video because the discussion is quite long, but there are a few points that I want to get across and a few things that I want to discuss. So we're going to start here and see where we go.
All right.
There was Jews up in that district.
I think we have a call. Pretty sure. I got contacted by this guy on Twitter. He wanted to come on and have a conversation about this. He has his own YouTube program. Tim, is this you?
Yeah, that's me. How you doing, fam?
Hey, Tim. This is Tim Black. Tim, you have a YouTube program at the Tim Black Show. What's the URL?
Yeah, it's the Tim Black Show.
What's the URL for that?
You go to TimBlackTV.com and it'll point you to everywhere I am: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, everywhere.
Okay.
Just do an introduction there first. Yes.
You reached out to me on Twitter, said that we've got to have a conversation about the infighting on the left.
Absolutely, brother. You know, it's getting to epic proportions. It seems like people who have like small differences in like general policy on the left are like resorting to like beating each other up endlessly. And instead of focusing, I think we're going to focus on media, for instance, independent media. Why aren't we looking at these corporate hacks, man? Why aren't we going after the Rachel Maddows, the people that Trump who sound the horns for war and glamorize it? The people that report these narratives that they just go down to repeatedly to viewers that we all share, who tune into the mainstream media, corporate media, who watch CNN and they think that's reality, that the world wants to hear about Russia all the time. Like the world, like that's what's most important to Americans. So I think there's a lot of fire we should have it for corporate media, and it seems like it's being focused on one another in independent media.
All right, so you said a lot of things there in that, and so
before Sam defends himself with that, so those of you who don't know much of the context, Sam Seder, I wouldn't say he's horrible and that he's a liar and things like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't been aware of anything that he's been downright lying. But, and there's a big but here, he has been pretty light, in my opinion, and apparently many people's opinions, that he's been light on people like Rachel Maddow and all the mainstream hosts that have been doing a lot of nefarious things when it comes to trying to discredit alternative media and other people, and calling things like the Seth Rich conspiracy completely, the Seth Rich case rather, a complete conspiracy, and that he could not have possibly died by any sort of political interference. Of course, I'm not saying we know that for sure, and I don't want to jump to conclusions or anything, but their hesitation to even investigate and talk about it, and has been kind of weird to watch it, in the very least, especially among people that are alternative media personalities, where we're not supposed to have anyone telling us what we can and can't say on the air. That's how it is supposed to be, at least on YouTube and on alternative media. But Sam Seder has been a little bit light when it comes to criticizing people in the mainstream media, like the other, like everyone else in the alternative media does. And I'm not saying that we have to fall in line and all do the same thing, oppose mainstream media, but considering that he is finding it more useful to go after other alternative media people like Jimmy Dore, who's another progressive from the TYT network, who deviated from the TYT narrative of Trump is really horrible and a fascist and is worse than Hillary Clinton. Jimmy didn't buy that, and he took a lot of heat from allies of TYT, people like Sam Seder, who have been calling him out and mocking him on his show. basically trying to discredit him for falling away. Now, this is a problem that's happening on the left. I'm glad I'm not part of it. I don't consider myself to be a progressive at all, but I do watch Tim Black, and I think that he's very sane and very and I may not agree with him on many of his political positions, but I definitely think he has the vigor and the care for cleansing all the BS out of the media and out of the information pool that we're in. That many people are taking their worldviews from, and I think that's a good thing, you know. And I think that no matter what your political opinion is or where you are, if your wish is to build a bridge between everyone else on the spectrum, and you're willing to talk to the other side, and you're willing to even say, like, listen, we know that nothing's been proven yet with Trump, and we don't want to pretend that it is so. Now, Sam Seder and Tim Black, they deviate when it comes to this. Sam Seder has been more on the Russia conspiracy, obstruction of justice side of things, and has not talked much about Hillary's corruption and Hillary's... he may say that he has, but let's face it, he's not as aggressive. Just watch it for yourself. He's not as aggressive as everyone else is when it comes to forcing the truth out of the mainstream media. He's almost defending it, and we're going to see that here. That he actually does openly defend mainstream personalities who are basically lying to everybody right now, and it's very demonstrable how they're doing so. So here, we're going to continue here.
So and let me just be clear. So you're saying that, because on Twitter you said this is in between the left, between the progressives and the liberals. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely.
Like, what's a liberal and what's a progressive? And what are you referencing? Are you talking about the grief I give Jimmy Dore? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, not just that, but yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but I wouldn't say that's everything. You know, I've had issues with Jordan Sheridan on TYT, you know, so, but you know, we put it away though, like, you know.
Well, that's fine.
But that's not specifically.
I'm trying to figure out what.
Yeah. Okay. I see where Tim Black's coming from here. Sam Seder has openly, he criticized. He went after. I don't know if, to be honest with you, I'm not watching many of the mainstream progressive alternative media people, but I did see the feud during the election time where Jimmy was not adhering to he was getting into arguments with Chank on the air, talking about how he doesn't agree that we should just all fall in line to Hillary Clinton and vote for her. And when I say we, I mean as if I was a progressive. Like, just pretend for that 1 second. But if and I've gone and lost my train of thought. Jimmy Dore basically said that we should be able to vote for third parties if as many people did, and he resisted the open hostility of people who voted Hillary against. People who decided to go third party, like Jill Stein or elsewhere, or maybe even to Trump himself. So Tim Black has beef with some of these alternative media people who are defending the mainstream media's narrative of we need to oppose Trump and all hands need to be on deck, or else it's the end of the republic as we know it. They called bullshit on it, and I think they're right. I certainly wasn't one of those people who got caught in that trap. And I think a lot of people were tricked into doing so because of the narrative they push forward. You know, so now Sam Seder shouldn't be surprised that people have questions about this stuff. And he's, I don't know, he seems to be like, oh, well, we haven't really got into it yet, so let's see.
I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, because I'm not sure exactly what it is that we're supposed to be fighting against, where it would make sense for me, from my perspective, to spend time on, I don't spend time really criticizing any specific media people. It's more about when specific moments come up. But I don't know that there's really much I would have a problem with on policy with, let's say, Rachel Maddow. Now,
that is what I was talking about.
Suppose. I think broadly speaking, I am to the left of her, although I'm not 100% sure about that. But and I've had an issue with, MSNBC. There's a lot of people who go on there, it seems to me, who are pretty excited at the prospect of bombing Syria.
Yeah, no shit.
Right.
But I mean, outside of that, and certainly I've been on MSNBC arguing against that with those people. But what?
See, now, my problem with this is now, because, like, listen, I'm not saying you have to be obligated to call out every single mainstream media pundit, blah, blah, blah. But, like, he's saying he won't even acknowledge, like we need, like, Rachel Maddow has made some mistakes when it comes to trying to make people make sense of the whole Trump investigation. She's tried way too hard to paint him in a bad light when there may not be something there to paint him with, to paint him as, you know. They may not actually be a Russian spy working with Putin to take over the U.S. Presidency in Putin's favor. Like, it's a far fetch, and they don't have that story straight. They don't know, did they just obstruct with propaganda and Twitter trolls? Did they just obstruct people's thoughts with that? Or did they actually go in and hack voting booths and hack numbers and hack... because they use the word hack, and we don't know what exactly they hacked, and they can't name it, apparently, which is not supposed to instill any more confidence in us. You know... like, if you're being responsible, you're not going to just assume all these things. And now Rachel Maddow has tried to paint Trump in a bad light. The thing with her tax, when apparently Trump released his own tax paper, suspected at least, to the media, and she tried to make a story out of it that would make him look bad when there really wasn't anything on that tax return to make him look bad with. And this is... that was just one of the things that Rachel Maddow has tried to do. And on top of that, too, she's basically, if you notice, you know, if you've been watching her at all, you know, she's shifting more towards the neoliberal side, in a way. You know, she's defending Hillary, defending other people on the left that should not be defended, painting, not talking about subjects that need to be talked about, like, you know, radical Islamic terrorism or maybe the Seth Rich case and a bunch of other things. They're just focusing on what may or may not be with the Russia investigation, which we have even less information about. If this is not all, you know, made up in the first place, we have even less information that suggests what exactly happened. And we don't even know. Like, they seem to jump from Russia hacking voting booths and all that, and then they say, oh well, yeah, and then they'll go and take the extra step to say, yeah, Trump did it. The Russians did it to get Trump into office, and so Trump can win the presidency on their behalf. This is an extreme jump, and Rachel Maddow has proposed all this stuff. She has suggested many of these things, and so has many people on the mainstream media. If you go to Mika Brzezinski and Joe, what's his name, from Morning Joe, the two guys there, Joe Scarborough, and they have also going on to say certain things that are, one would argue, is beyond the scope of what we know. And I mean, you got all these things like, oh, we got a president here who doesn't respect the first thing about our Constitution, blah blah blah, all those things like that. I can just picture Joe Scarborough saying that right now. But to bring this all back, Sam Seder is being openly questioned right now and criticized, as he should be, to why he will favor somebody. He just said himself, I'm close to Rachel Maddow on policy issues. Really? Maybe that should tell us a thing or two, you know. And I don't want to be too hard on him, but I'm just take a look for yourself, you know.
What specifically, tease this out for me. Liberals versus progressives. What's the difference between a liberal and a progressive? I mean, I have a sense of what's the difference between a liberal and, let's say, a socialist or a radical, but what's the difference between a liberal and a progressive?
A radical. Well, to me, radicals, for instance, are just people who want to change the status quo. And hopefully, you know, there are a lot of those people out there who don't like the direction the country's going. But the difference between progressives and liberals, in my opinion, because it's all relative to each individual, I'd say liberals are like Sam Seder. They fall in line with Rachel Maddow, who think this Russian narrative, the impeach Donald Trump narrative, is something that's going to actually help us, and it's doing nothing but raise the money for the Democratic Party. So progressives, in my opinion, are people who want to focus on the issues like ending interventionist wars, ending fracking, and having no tolerance for candidates or media that support the destruction of our environment. Progressives stood up in Standing Rock to try to stop an oil pipeline. The progressives talk about Flint. They talk about water. They talk about police incarceration. They talk about police violence. They talk about civil rights. They talk about.
Now, I got to say something here. I do believe that the David Pakmans and the Sam Cedars of the progressive media on the alternative side here on YouTube do have talked to at least some length about those issues that Tim Black just said. But the point I think that Tim Black is trying to make, and maybe I'm wrong, but the point I would certainly make there is he'll cater to those issues and be like, yeah, no, we support not having it. Maybe he actually believes it. I'm not saying that he's some kind of hack. Maybe he is. I don't know. But like the thing about the likes of Sam Cedar here is that when it comes to holding the people that are accountable that need to be held accountable for certain things, like say the lack of attention from the Democratic Party to approach the Standing Rock thing, and the Hillary campaign for the corruptions for the corruption that we found out from WikiLeaks and from Guccifer 2.0 and all those things that all those emails that we were able to read. We got pretty much the whole lowdown of what Hillary wanted to do for her in her presidency, which scared the crap out of many people, including myself. That is when I really said, no, there's no way that Trump can possibly be worse than this. And maybe that's a little exaggerated, but, I'm still unsure myself about Trump, and I was not convinced at the time, and I'm still not now at all, that Hillary Clinton would have been better for this country. Not after what we heard from WikiLeaks, and not after all the things that we suspected about her and her organization, Clinton Foundation, not after all the things that we suspected about them came to be pretty much truer than we had known before. And we don't know everything yet, but I think we know a good amount to say that maybe she doesn't deserve to have that office and that seat. She's not entitled to it. She tried to say because she's a woman and that she should be in there, and her people that not her constituents, her people that were supporting her that were also saying that, among other things, and also painting Trump as an orange fascist. A guy that says misogynistic things like that. That's the worst it can come up with when it comes to Trump and what we know about him and not is the fact that he said maybe some misogynist things during the election, and we don't know much more about than that. We don't really know. We don't know anything about Russia and all that stuff. And still, like there are other things that people like the likes of Tim Black are pointing out is the fact that some of these things started right after, like the narrative of the Russia thing started right after the WikiLeaks emails were dropped. The fact that they want to ignore that and that because he won't, I haven't heard Sam Cedar say anything about these things, not in a criticizing manner, not in a manner that openly questions the Democratic Party about these things. And so it's just that he favors this establishment, and he can favor it if he wants, but he's going to get met with questions and curiosity to why he will not stand up to what people want to see done. And the fact of the matter is that they shouldn't be surprised that people are going to question them, and maybe their own viewers probably will start to too if they're not going to be more aggressive in especially when it comes to the fact that the mainstream media wants to attack all the alternative. You can't be someone on YouTube and feel comfortable cozying up to them. And I don't know if Sam Cedar is necessarily, but his rhetoric is not as harsh and as hard. It's not harsh in its objective criticism. Not as harsh as somebody like Tim Black. Tim Black actually wants to question all the weird things that have happened, where Sam Cedar will join the group of saying and shaming there are people who voted third party and saying that we needed to have all hands on deck because Trump is a fascist. This is what people are talking about. This is what the criticisms that people have for the leftist media, like TYT, Young Turks, Sam Cedar, maybe David Pakman's show. I know there's been a lot of criticism surrounding him. I've seen videos on that, and frankly, I wasn't happy with what I saw either there. And this is why we have people calling in to Sam Cedar's show saying, "Listen, man, why are you going on and saying that Rachel Maddow is cool and all, and that she's completely trustworthy?" or acting like it at least, when he should probably be questioning her integrity. Because we have more than enough to believe that she is trying to purposely paint Trump in a bad light without having any evidence of wrongdoing. So I've talked too much again. Let's continue this.
John Crawford, they talk about transgression. That's what progressives do. What liberals do is they talk about surface issues that don't directly impact Americans, average Americans. I don't think, like, most Americans do not give a flying filth about what's going on with MSNBC talking about Trump. So I think that's the line. Like, do you swallow the mainstream media narratives, or do we focus on real issues that matter to people? And yeah, your thing with Jimmy back and forth. I mean, that's.
All right,
I don't
hold
know
on,
if
Tim. Let me just
obviously you're not aware of it.
Before we get into the Jimmy thing, so.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because they're about to switch. I mean, first of all, Sam, you brought up the Jimmy Dore thing. You were the first one to say that in this conversation, and it is relevant. And maybe I'm being too harsh there. Maybe he was just, I don't know. But what was I say? This part here is actually what interests me the most when they're talking about the differences between a liberal and a progressive. Is I have thoughts on that. So, where I see where Tim Black is coming from, I don't see in the same way that he does when he talks about the difference between what a liberal is and what a progressive is, and it doesn't seem as though Sam Seder is very. They seem to be. This could be something that tells us if they're a little bit out of touch with the people as far as. Now I don't know if Sam Seder's like high class, like journalist, like he's alternative media, but he seems to be a little bit numb to why. Many are questioning where he actually lies. He's selling himself as an alternative media progressive, but chants many mainstream media talking points and subjects, and is light when it comes to criticizing the left party in our country, which is the Democrats. Well, the pretend left party, if you want to put it that way, more like the neoliberal. Now, I see the left in a little bit different light, actually, not much, but. Now, I agree. What he says what a progressive is the people that are going out and taking it to the people on the streets and activism and stuff like that. I definitely agree with that. 100%. He's right. Many progressives cared a lot about Standing Rock and going through and protesting against oil companies building a line. Well, we can disagree on that, maybe, but I do largely agree that that's what a progressive is doing. A lot of progressives are doing. Is going out and saying those things, and they probably side more with the social democracy people like the Green Party and things like that, and are probably more left than Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. Now, I think the left is a little bit more complicated than just the difference between liberal and progressive. If you ask me what a liberal is, I think real liberals are maybe the likes of the Sargon of Akkad's and people who align themselves more. Centrally, I guess you could say, and more libertarian in nature, because what a classic liberal is someone that basically, I mean, Thomas Paine, the writer who wrote the writer from the 18th century, who basically started the whole concept of America with his writing in Common Sense. He kind of is in that region of classic libertarian, where we talk about. Being in favor of freedom of speech, justice, constitutional issues, and we're also and people who are classical liberal more like are in not as much as libertarians and conservatives are with government intervention in the economy. They're not as free market, but still recognize the fact that the government control over all things, including health care and college payments and stuff like that, could be. Not as agreeable as free market issues. So now I'm not an expert on all this stuff. I consider myself to be a classical liberal / libertarian. I'm definitely these days I am definitely more worried about national security. I wouldn't call myself a nationalist or anything like that, but well, man, you know what? Maybe a little bit. Maybe I am a little bit of a nationalist. I don't think that's bad to be a little bit of a nationalist. Yeah, if you want to protect your country should come first. You should. Most certainly not be ashamed to stand up for things that threaten the nation, and should not be afraid to say no to outside immigration and globalist policies. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, if you're national socialist like like the Nazis were, then we got a problem, of course. But yeah, back to what I was saying before. As far as the left goes, I see it seems to be more split into the neoliberal part of the Democratic Party and the progressives part, and maybe there's a little bit of a gray area in the middle where you have your Elizabeth Warrens and who you're unsure whether or not they're actually progressives or they're just straight up neoliberals like everybody else in the party, and then you have the far left progressives. Like I think it's a neoliberal progressive thing and then you have the more real liberals who are much more they're not as willing to adhere to the social justice part. See, that's the thing. There's a social justice in the social issues and the fact that they want single payer and free college and stuff like that. Many people who call themselves liberal want those things too, and I don't think those are liberal values, especially when it comes to the social justice things, where you see people interrupting free speeches and stuff like that, and or saying that we need to not be hateful towards Muslims, even though people are just simply criticizing the fact that we have a problem in some parts of Islam with radicalism and extremism. Those, you can be a liberal and stand for those values and still stand for wanting to protect your country, being in favor of more free market stuff. That's what I think real liberals are. Are people that stand up for justice and liberty, Constitution, and the rights that come from it. It's a pretty wide range, and many people favor the more libertarian side, where they move more towards the free market side, or while others may favor more government intervention in some areas, some explicit areas where they believe the government has a role. So that part interests me a lot because the left has a much different perspective of their own side than I guess people on the outside of the left do. And Tim Black, I think he is right for the most part, but I disagree with him when it comes to the fact that it's just simply liberal versus progressive. I think there are neoliberals, there are people in the gray area that you don't know where they are. It's a cluster fuck, to be honest. That's what the left is right now. And that's my opinion on it, and that's why ultimately a lot of people are leaving it. And I don't think an actual liberal is what you would call the neoliberals in Democratic Party. I think a lot of actual liberals are pretty disenchanted from the left apparatus right now. So maybe I'm a little wrong. Feel free to comment about this in the comment section or DM me or anything like that. I would certainly like to talk more with people about it and get this more straight. But that part just really interests me how they see. I mean, Sam Seder seemed to really be baffled by why people. Why people why people are saying there seems to be a bit of a separation between us and you guys. They're real progressives that actually want to put their foot down, and we got a lot of hesitation from the people that are more middle, or more neoliberal, I should say. Yeah, I don't like when Hillary Clinton said she's progressive and stuff like that. Like during the election, it did a lot of damage. A lot of people were calling themselves progressive when they really were not progressive, or calling themselves liberal when they really don't stand for liberal values. And another thing is, and I do agree with Tim Black, this is the point I agree the most on this, is the fact that there is a difference between a progressive and a liberal. That is most certainly true. I think progressives are not the same as liberals, and Sam Seder seemed to think that in a way it was, and I really don't agree with that. We have to understand that the more left you go, the more progressive you go, the less liberal you are because of the many of the social issues and the economic issues where they want a bigger role, bigger government. That starts to move away from liberalism. Liberals don't believe in huge government. I know that's a bit of a stereotype right now, but real liberals do not believe in huge government. They believe in liberty and achieving liberty, however that may be achieved. It's not explicitly. Progressives may think that liberty may mean that the government should get involved with healthcare and with things like that. But this is basically. I don't know if I want to do any more of this. Let's see what else to say here.
Her argument is, first of all, I don't think that there's going to be impeachment of Trump.
Well, why aren't you hitting these bastards that are saying it daily, like 24/7?
Well, because frankly, I think it's been relatively effective with achieving my agenda, which is to not have healthcare destroyed, to not have, the Dakota Access Pipeline, that's gone now, right? I mean, more or less because of the Trump administration. But all of the things that you talk about, hold on, let me just say this now.
I don't know. It might, so it might be, the Dakota Access Pipeline probably is a done deal. I don't know. Not that I don't think that people should continue to fight that, because if we just stop now, if you agree with this, if you just stop now, you can't, that's it. Then every pipeline's going to be, erected wherever they want to be. But, so again, that should be a little bit telling that Sam Seder isn't as strongly convicted to these, doesn't have as strong of a conviction to these issues as the more progressive side. I think Tim Black is demonstrating that. He's basically getting it out of him. So now, on the issue of, I forgot that Sam Seder said, it's basically my agenda. I get it. He's saying, agenda because we don't want healthcare to get ruined and blah, blah, blah. And for the record, he just repeated more talking points from the mainstream media. This is why people are questioning him. It's like, we need to have, we don't want thousands of people to get to lose their coverage because the government won't take over the entire industry. We can achieve these. I don't want to make this video about healthcare now, but we can achieve those things in other ways, or we could achieve it through single payer, wherever you agree. But he seems to be lighter on these issues and more favorable towards the mainstream Democrat narrative there, as we just saw with him pushing those points. But yeah, the fact that it's not. I don't think it's good. I think Tim Black has a lot to say here that's valid about Sam here and his channel, is the fact that they do not as aggressively go after these issues, even though they come on. They tell their people they are a progressive crowd. He said I think I'm more to the left than Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow is pretty left, even despite the fact that she's probably moving more towards the neoliberal side now. Because she's completely taking a complete change. Whatever's going on with her is weird. I don't know, but yeah. So, all right, yeah. So Tim Black here, I think he has a valid point to make, and I think many people are probably going to end up asking them these questions. I know there's mounting comments being made towards David Pakman and the Young Turks for the abysmal job they've been. More so the Young Turks, they've done an abysmal job. As far as covering Trump and covering the issues. They're completely off the rails now, and they've hired new people, the Young Turks, that are bringing all this social justice nonsense into the political discourse, and it's turning. Frankly, I think they're turning much more hostile. And Cenk has said over and over again on their channel, when we need to not go shoot higher, we need to shoot just as low as the Democrats are. He said things like that before. I've watched him. Yeah, he said it multiple times, and it seems as though they're actually doing that now. They're being reduced to lies and character, going after people's character and all kinds of stuff. I don't want to be too hard on Sam here. I don't think that they are bad when it comes to these things, but I definitely think that they're more the type to lean off the issues a little bit and kind of keep it cool and calm. Where you should keep it cool and calm normally, but you should be willing to criticize those that are intentionally trying to mislead people in the public, and that's what I think about this. Tim Black, I think he's good. Go follow his channel. I think it's important to have all kinds of voices and opinions coming into you. I don't think you should just stay on one side, regardless of what you believe. Regardless of where you lie on the political spectrum, you should definitely look to expand your horizons. You should even watch archive some of the mainstream news stuff. Archive them so you don't give them links, and analyze their what they're saying. It's important to point out propaganda and to recognize it, and it's also important to seek out the sane voices on the other side of your aisle and listen to what they're saying. I think Tim Black is very sane, along with the likes of H.A. Goodman and people on that side. I would definitely suggest you go watch them. I enjoy their channels and I enjoy some their content. I don't always agree but I certainly do think that they are honest, and it's very heartwarming to see that there are honest people who really just want to get to the bottom of these issues and are not willing to stop for anything. And that is why Tim Black brought a stronger case to Sam Seder than he had to say. So that's my thought on it. Thank you for watching and listening, rather. I'm still in the midst of finding better technology and better apps to do this. I like this Spreaker thing, Spreaker Studio. I like this app. It gives me effects at the beginning that I can start the show with, like you saw. But the problem is that they make you pay for it, and they make you pay a good amount for more time. I can only do like 45-minute episodes on this, so I'm gonna be looking into trying to find computer programs instead of just doing this on my phone, and learning how to make better videos, and that'll happen at some point. I'm still in the testing stages of this, so bear with me. But thank you for supporting, thank you for listening, if you made it this far. And check out a bunch of other people, Sargon of Akkad, Sticks, Hex and Hammer, 606, Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, who else? The Iconoclast, Bombard's Body Language, all those people, check them out. They're great channels, they all have different perspectives, and it'll make you smarter in the end, I think. Thank you for listening to Free Discourse Radio. We'll see you next time.